Well, Ken, you're very welcome here once again to Loughrea, and here we're on the edge of the lake in Loughrea. And as I said earlier, the town behind me was founded by the Normans in 1236, but there was people living beside and on the lake for thousands of years previously. In general terms, in Ireland, people living on lakes goes back to about 7000 BC, especially you've got Lough Gara in County Sligo. Here in Loughrea, the earliest evidence we have for human occupation of man-made habitation sites on the lake goes back to the Neolithic, which in Ireland goes from about 4000 BC to about 2500 BC. So back in 1862, one of the antiquarians at the time, a guy called Kinahan, he came here and he was staying at the house of Lord Clancarty, which is over there, and he excavated 3 of the crannogs over there: Ash Island, Shore Island and Reed Island. Shore Island is unique. It's just literally there. It's blending into the background of the woods. But Shore Island is unique in that it's not necessarily an island, it's a promontory. And I think that's what attracted the earliest settlers here, the fact that it was a promontory that stuck out into the lake. They're making it more defensible against wolves, boars and all sorts of creatures. When it was excavated in 1862, he found a stone axe and he found a chert arrowhead, which again gives evidence the fact that there was a Neolithic period where that island was occupied. Also significant, coming out from both sides of the island are a series of wooden posts which still can be seen underwater. And I think the best interpretation of those is as an added defence against attacks from the land. So that's the Neolithic period. Moving on into the Bronze Age, we've got Isla Macoo, which is directly over there. That's significant in the fact that it's the only crannog, man-made crannog, that's in significantly deep water. So it's probably between 2.5 and 3 meters deep. It's quite a distance from the land. And as you can see, some of the crannogs here to my rear, you know, someone with a bow and arrow could easily do damage, whereas Isla Macoo over there, certainly not. When Kinahan was investigating his crannogs over there, he took a look at Isla Macoo and he found 4 dugout canoes. He tried to raise one of them, but it broke in half. But the reason he was interested in Isla Macoo was the local fishermen were telling him of years ago, there were stories of fishermen with their nets bringing up bronze spearheads and muskets. Now that seems like an odd juxtaposition of 2 different types of weapons spanning a couple of thousand years. But it turned out, after the 1798 rebellion, the local magistrate here in Loughrea ordered that all the muskets be taken from all the Catholics in the surrounding area and they'd be dumped in the lake. The person given the task for dumping them in the lake just happened to dump them beside a Bronze Age habitation site. So that explains the connection between the bronze spearheads and muskets, which is unusual. Moving on closer to the town, there is approximately 6 crannogs, Barrack Island, Middle Island, Switch Island, and these all I would generally date to between the 6th and the 9th century. And they'd be comparable with some of the ring forts that you see on the hills surrounding us here, comparable in date. These are in relatively shallow water. They would be built by building up layers of stone. Most of them currently are in around a metre. Some of them have a flat area which can't be seen from here, such as the crannog behind me here. Extending to the rear of that is a large flat platform, and often these platforms have been interpreted as sites for metalworking, because we do have evidence that in quite a number of crannogs, certainly in Beaufinon in County Mayo, there was a crannog that apparently was specifically solely for metalworking. Other items of interest is right here on that hilltop behind me. It's a hill fort dating from the Bronze Age, but it's significant in the fact that there was a study done of the area here by Fiona Beglan back about 5 or 6 years ago, and she was investigating a deer park. So essentially from that hill over more or less towards where that White House is are the remains of the largest Anglo-Norman deer park in Ireland. And a deer park is a walled enclosed area where was stocked with deer. The Anglo-Normans could carry out their favourite sport of hunting deer, but it was also used for coppicing, you know, for making hazelnut rods to make partitions, bedding and all that sort of stuff. This is the largest one in Ireland. It's 369 hectares. The wall surrounding the deer park would be 7.4 kilometres long. So as I said, it's the largest one in Ireland. But going back to the De Burgos, perhaps one of the reasons that they founded the town here was the fact that these crannogs were here, and also the sole exit from the lake, the sole river exiting from the lake, exits just down there at the cathedral. They then formed a man-made outlet behind me here, which extends around and it joins up with the river. So Loughrea is the only medieval walled town in Ireland with a functioning town moat. Going back to the hill fort there, what you find a lot both in prehistory and in history is that people stake their claim to a particular area by referring back to the ancestors. So it's certainly Fiona Beglan suggested that the fact that there was a significant hill fort there, that the De Burgos had their inauguration site there because it was sort of justifying their claims to the land. And she came across what's known as Our Lady's Chair, which quite well may be the inauguration stone of the De Burgos here in Loughrea.